Hello, everybody, and welcome to another daily plan. Man, oh man, did we get a surprise last night? And no, it wasn't European inflation. It wasn't a big deal. So, I'm gonna point something out. This is gonna be a nice little educational experience. This is a search page on X for euro dollar, right? So we have Euro Trader, all these guys. So let's see here, Euro dollar gap open. Ninja ICT, oh, Euro dollar full value gap thing. Euro dollar short. Euro dollar analysis, market makers buy model. Retracement from NWOG, London Classic Profile. Full value gap, right? There's always a definitive price action to always happen on Eurodollar weekly. Daily old fair value gap, shift of market to fair time. Like, look at all this stuff. No time to explain, just do it, right? And then saying going along, right? No time to explain. Well, that was 15 hours ago. I think you had plenty of time. 17 hours ago, down further and then up. 3 hours ago, March 3rd consecutive wins, and still no analysis here, no actual analysis. Technical analysis down, right? So that guy is on the other side of things. 9 minutes ago, okay, took profits. This guy was expecting up and then down, but why, right? So this is going to be a learning experience because we're going to go ahead and just check the news, right? We're just going to read this section here. Yesterday, UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer said Britain and France will lead a coalition of the willing to draft a plan with Kyiv and allies to end the Russia-Ukraine war and ensure security guarantees for Washington. Germany may play a key role in boosting defense spending, with reports suggesting new special funds for defense and infrastructure. Investors now await the ECB's policy meeting, with a fifth consecutive rate cut is expected. Meanwhile, euro area inflation increased slightly, right? And core inflation fell. This needs to be the kind of analysis more people do, because this makes sense. That all that other stuff, that's a lot of that was guessing. But if you were on top of that news, like, that makes sense for why the thing goes straight up almost 100 pips. Now, will the United States actually work on this UK, France, Germany coalition to establish defense for Ukraine? I'm not too sure if this is the way forward for a peace deal with Russia and Ukraine. This, when the peace deal was originally discussed between Trump and Putin made explicitly clear, like, he does not want to be involved in any plan that is just a band-aid on the scenario. He will continue his campaign in Ukraine if there is a band-aid scenario. And this, to me, this is more along the lines of band-aiding, because this is more money for the Ukrainian war, right? Don't get me wrong, it says they want to end the war, but they're trying to end the war by providing all these extra security guarantees and military spending, which is what Zelensky's been asking for and why he got kicked out of the White House the other day. Right? He went to the White House saying, "Oh, I'll sign the mineral deal," and then came in saying, we need to make sure we have these security guarantees, and then also blew up the press conference, right? So, I look at this and I'm like, well, you have an ECB cut, and you have, which generally should be bearish for the euro. Don't get me wrong. That's kind of still the impact of that usually. But when before I've very clearly said, hey, when you have some improvements with the Ukrainian situation, that how Ukraine is closer to the peace. I don't see how Keir Starmer is going to be able to bring a successful deal to the table with the Russians, especially now that he's boosting their military, trying to boost their military security and form effectively like a mini Ukraine focused NATO, right? Because that's effectively what this is. They're trying to give Ukraine even more military support. I don't think that's the way you want to start negotiate. It's like this is very closely inching towards more Cold War status stuff. But instead of, JFK and Gorbachev, we have people who are arguably much more stupid. Like no one I don't think here is going to argue that Starmer is a particularly smart individual, even when it comes to politics. I mean, look how unpopular the dude is. With France, I think Macron might be able to do something there, but you know, France's politics are in pretty much complete deadlock, and the Germans, the reason why they're kind of left out here, right? Germany may play a key role, is because Mers, right, the guy who's the head of the CDU, now the largest party, well, still the largest party, he lost a lot compared to the last election, but CDU is not as big as it used to be. The AFD doubled in size, right? Look, don't get me wrong. Mers and the socialists, the SPD, the CDU and the SPD, they can form a coalition, have an 18-person majority in the Bundestag. But like I said in the last stream, unless every single person in both of those coalitions work in lockstep with each other in voting along their party lines and along the coalition's goals, it's going to be a pretty ineffectual government. But it's worked very successfully in the US, right? In the US, you have very, very tight majority margins in the United States, and that's worked out fine because guess what? They've voted along party lines and in lockstep with their MAGA agenda. So you've had good success, even though it's a very simple majority. And maybe the CDU and SPD can accomplish the same thing, but if they can't form a coalition on their own accord, they're going to have to include the Greens, and then it's more likely going to be even more deadlock. And I understand that they want to increase. So Germany may play a role here because it's going to require 2/3 vote in the Bundestag to increase the debt brake, to remove or at least modify their constitutional debt brake. You know how the US has a debt ceiling? Like Congress says how much money the US can print. Well, Germany has something similar, except it's in their constitution. So it requires a larger majority of the Bundestag, of their parliament, to actually vote through that kind of adjustment. So if that kind of adjustment comes through, then Germany will play a role in boosting that defense spending, because a lot of these parties that support Ukraine in CDU, SPD, especially if Pretorius becomes the new head of the SPD in Germany, like him and Mers are very, very big warhawks. This makes me honestly more concerned than like I want Trump and Putin to strike a deal like immediately before this stuff goes into effect. Like the faster a peace deal between Trump and Putin and Zelensky can get done, the better, because this is a huge mess, and this will lead to Cold War like standoffs. Like this is, in my opinion, a very, very, very stupid approach, and it's not taking into consideration the fact that the Russians are still in Ukraine. Like literally, in order to send this military support that these guys are talking about, they would need to create new beachheads at the front of Ukraine. So as this military support comes in, they would need to be proactively fighting the Russians to get this support in there. Now, don't get me wrong. It sounds good, so there's been a boost here. I don't view this terribly positively. This is more government spending, way more government spending. The reason why I think that this has made Eurodollar go up more significantly is because this is just the promise of more spending, but more or less people are focusing on, hey, Ukraine is probably going to see some peace here. But I look at the government spending and I'm like, this is not good. Like, this is really, 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 again, this puts you into Cold War-like standoffish position. So, oh man, I totally forgot to put the music back on. Here, let me go ahead and do that. But I just, I look at this and I'm like, there's some mixed messages here. Yeah, it's nice to hear that there's, that this is how they want to try and achieve peace. But the issue is that this method is it's a war party, effectively. They're saying it's our way or the highway to Russia with this approach. I don't think you'll be able to get that much done with Russia trying to do this kind of approach. Hello, Isaac. Nice to see you. And also very nice to see everyone hanging out in the WAP chat. Very nice to see Ari. Nice to see you hanging out in there. We got one guy watching on Kick. And we got a guy, I believe that's Aristotle, watching over there on WAP. I appreciate it, my man. I really do. So, streams are still pretty small, but you know what? We are growing. Hello, Marvin. Nice to see you. Now let's get more into the charts, right? And again, it's the key lesson of today is you can always, find TA to justify any move, but TA doesn't necessarily help you set a bias. It doesn't contain all the future information on the chart. So if you want to set good expectations, you have to know more about the world to actually understand how people who participate in these markets are going to behave or react to new information. So don't get me wrong, there are guys who do TA profitably, but I can probably name those people on one hand, personally, like that I know, right? And what I call my stuff TA, honestly, sort of, kind of, but this is more statistically based, and I have a lot more confidence in this sort of stuff. Like, I know when I look at my indicator and I see all these small percentages, I'm like, oh wow, this is a tail risk scenario for the trading day. Something obviously moved. I have to go to the news and get more information about what actually happened here, because something exogenous, something moved the market in a more significant way. Maybe it was an economic piece of information. Maybe it was a geopolitical piece of information. Outlooks and geopolitics are the two main things to focus on research-wise. And that's why we have a trades forum where if you want in future streams, you can go ahead and share your trade ideas and I can review them here on the stream. We got a little message here so you can post trade logs and trade results, and we can go over those too. But if you want to suggest topics for the stream, if you want to suggest plans, if you want to suggest geopolitical breakdowns or whatever, I can go ahead and cover them here in the trades forum. And then we also, and a link to this is in the description of all these chats, just go to the WAP, which is right on over here, right? Share trading plans, research, and commentary here in the Plan the Profit Discord. And then here is the research forum where we do a lot of geopolitical research. Actually, here's the Trump Watch thread. And we have a guy in here, Trump RSS. He's posting all of Trump's feeds. Let's see here. The only president who gave none of Ukraine's land to Putin's Russia is Trump. Remember that when the weak and ineffective Democrats criticized the fake news? Yeah. So yeah, we're getting Trump X posts in here, or Trump Truth posts in here, and the reason why is very, very important. I mean, yesterday we got the Trump Truth post about the Bitcoin stuff. Oh, let's see here. Right? BTC and ETH. Right? For the crypto reserve that occurred yesterday. That was kind of a big deal. I'm going to turn down the music just a tad more. Sorry, it might be a little difficult to hear me. Alright. So yeah, we have good trade research going on. And of course, we have the latest outlooks that have been sent out from last week. So when it comes down to setting outlook expectations and doing geopolitical research, we are set, and we're trying to stay on top of this as much as we possibly can. I woke up about 30 minutes before the stream, so I did not have a huge amount of time to prepare for the stream. But dude, I know how to get my news and my information. So even though that we had this huge crazy move on euro dollar, I didn't get sideswiped by all the noise on X, by all these traders who have different styles of TA or fall into like ICT type stuff. Like, I can just be like, oh, something happened in the world in a meaningful fashion. Gee, I wonder what happened, right? Being able to get this information quickly it's incredibly powerful. Yep, let's see, Germany indicated parties negotiated to form a government or considering the rapid establishment of two special funds, potentially worth hundreds of billions of euros when dedicated to defense and other to infrastructure. Wow. So depending on how the new government is formed, MERS and Pistorius are going to pump hundreds of billions of... Dude, this is gonna balloon the government side of spending in Europe. Like, this is kind of insane. Oh yeah, and the yield spreads moved higher, I'm guessing. Let's go ahead and check out the yield spreads. Yep, positive all the way down. I'm guessing this is also going to be super positive on the yield spread side of things. Trading Berserker. Oh, hello. Nice to see you, Trading Berserker. What do you expect that Trump's gonna announce tonight? It'd be either tariff, buying crypto, or peace deal. He's having an announcement tonight. He's having a meeting tonight. Was that posted in the Trump Watch thread? Tomorrow, oh, he said this, right? He posted this, right? Tomorrow night will be big. I will tell it like it is. Oh, well, it's probably going to be the... Yeah, see, this is why we have RSS feeds for Trump's troops of like, huh, what are you talking about there, Berserker? I'm like, oh, yeah. Yeah, that's what's going on. We'll probably end up with tariffs. Yeah, because tariffs are tomorrow. Right, if we go to dollar CAD, the tariffs are tomorrow. The 25% tariffs. Wow. Yeah, so the yields are moving against the US. That is, I really do find this interesting. I find it kind of counterintuitive, frankly, because this, you have the tariffs coming up. That's like, do people forget what happened the last time the US put tariffs on Canada and Mexico? You had this huge cross-sectional move higher on the US dollar, and now we're like less than 24 hours away from the tariffs being re-implemented. You know, this is like, why aren't people making a bigger deal about this? Like, this is what happened to the euro. on the Canadian, Mexican 25% tariffs from the United States. Like, this is just what happened to the euro. Like, oh wow, you know, there's nothing. And then we had announcements of tariffs on Europe. Not just even the other day. So I'm here scratching my head like, okay, I get that that Europe is trying to now send more money to Ukraine to quote unquote establish peace, right? This is military defense. I'm like, this isn't going to establish peace with Russia. Like, this is going to prolong the war even further. Like, if you want to make sure the euro goes below parity, just print literally hundreds of billions of dollars worth, right? Potentially hundreds of billions of euros to the defense and infrastructure of Ukraine while it's still at war. Like, you can't, like, I get, okay, maybe peace with Russia is not happening and you end up spending a lot of money on defense. But this other part on infrastructure, I mean, I really don't want to see Europe go down the same route that the United States went, sending hundreds of billions of dollars to Ukraine and effectively getting nothing back, and it being like this massive slush fund effectively. So this would just be bad, like, for Europe. I mean, dude, they don't even have the reserve currency. Like, there's other things going on in the United States that kept the US strong and the dollar strong, but Germany doesn't have that much economically going on. As far as future growth, that is. They need to end the war in Ukraine so they can stop spending this money in Ukraine and spend that money in Germany. Well, I think European leaders have their priorities backwards with who they're supposed to be sending their tax dollars to, right? Like, let Trump formulate the peace deal. Oh, and we got the PMI that just came out. ISM manufacturing came out at 50.3. Consensus was 50.5. Right? Oh yeah, and it's a growing number. The previous number was 49.2. And the actual print here was 50.9. So this is going to be a good sign here. I would actually be open to taking a shot here. So let me know what you guys are thinking. Yeah, it's very weird. Yeah, I agree. Some of these European leaders even plea for sending European troops to Ukraine. Yeah. I mean, that's what they mean by defense. And effectively building a coalition of the willing, quote unquote. Again, Starmer, I have friends who have very strong opinions on Starmer, and they're no fans, right? They are no fans of Star Wars. Let me real quick make sure I'm not leaving the guys alone in the WAP chat. The rest of the boys are coming. Gotta lower the volume by like 50% music. Okay. Can you guys tell me if the music is still too loud here? Is the music too loud on your guys' end over on the stream? Let's see. Sorry for playing around with the music and stuff, but you know what? Once you get it done right the first time, it's not a big deal the next few streams. Yeah, let me know how that sounds. I'll keep it at that level for a good bit here. I'll come live at your place in America if I get a letter for military service. Oh my god, yeah, man. Yeah, Zelensky's probably... he's found a way to put the rest of Europe in his van and send them to the army. Also, I'll send out a little reminder here to remember to like the stream and all that stuff. Like the stream and subscribe if you're new here. Alright, let's see here. Let's see how he feels. Yeah, all's good. So let's go ahead and check out one of the key issues with using range probabilities on a day like this is, simply put, things have moved now so much that there's no like actual trade to do here. Like, don't get me wrong, you could probably take some short trade here on the euro, but with the yield spreads increasing like this, I would be very, very cautious. If you don't know what yield spreads are, yield spreads have been a known leading indicator for the last 40 to 50 years of FX prices, and very, very frequently are highly correlated. In fact, if you go into the Plan the Profit Discord and you start reading outlooks research from a bunch of these institutions, you will find that many of these institutions set their trading expectations based on this indicator. Not this exact indicator, but the data behind it. And if you want access to it, you can join the Boss Trading Group Plus indicators. You know, it's $100 a month, but you get a 10-day trial, so you can actually try it out and see if it's worth your the bang for your buck, right? There's one-on-ones and there's tutorials and whatnot, and also we got a new offering here, PineScript Mentorship. We started doing some PineScript streams the other day, and I actually ran into a bug in the very first PineScript stream, and I sent a ticket over to TradingView about, hey, is this the expected behavior? And if they say yes to what I think is a bug, then I have an easy workaround for it, and we'll just continue building the open source and free indicator live on stream. I have a list of several open source and free indicators that I'll be updating and making live in PineScript streams to help promote the PineScript mentorship and one-on-ones for coding. But for the trading group and for access to these indicators, yeah, that would be the trading group over here. Oh, we'll go ahead and close that for a sec. I like when you log into WAP. Oh, and by the way, yeah, this is the actual trading view, so you can actually see all the public stuff. See, there's probability pivots. There's actually a new version of seasonal statistics dashboard that's private, and that's actually over here. Check out this indicator. Check that out. Isn't that a nice way to display seasonal data? Like, this goes out for the entire rest of the month. Yeah, man. Shows you how frequently a particular trading day was bullish or bearish, and the expected value of each bullish or bearish trading day, and then the net expected value. And the way to read this is, hey, I actually forgot to turn off my flux. Wow. That's kind of embarrassing. Yeah, I'm like, huh. No one's complained about the orange hue. my monitor had a Donald Trump tan on it for a good bit. So yeah, sorry about that. Maybe you guys didn't see that, but maybe some of you guys on the WAP saw that. I'm not terribly certain if any of you guys actually saw that, but yeah. Hopefully my flux didn't show up on the stream. That would have been super annoying. At least in my opinion. I wouldn't want to watch something with flux right on top of it, especially if I was already using flux and it's like a layer, one orange layer on top of another orange layer, then it's impossible to watch what you want to watch. Oh man. So yeah, no, that's a cool way of displaying the data. Again, the positive yield spreads are fighting against any shorts at the moment, so I would not do that. And the season, there's essentially no significant seasonality here up until maybe the 8th trading day of March, and then it gains some strength again here around the 11th to 13th, and you can actually see right here 11, 12, 13, and then it rotates over like that, and then you have some more bearish seasonality, right? So bullish, moderately okay stuff, and like so most of the jump in any sort of bullish seasonality signal comes here between the 8th and the 13th trading day, and then rotates down lower. And that's just seasonal historical data. You have to have seasonal expectations when it comes down to using seasonal indicators. If you don't have an expectation that an asset's going to be behaving seasonally in the future, it's kind of hard to use an indicator that's using seasonal historical data to set your expectations with. So there's always a caveat with seasonal data, but sometimes those assumptions and those expectations are reasonable. In a situation like this, no, not at all. So yeah, I was not expecting this jump up. That's for sure. We'll see how it impacts the trade at the end of the day. I'm pretty sure we're going to see some heavy whipsawing once we get into tomorrow's trading. Oh, let's go ahead and check out the DXY crossed S1. Let's go ahead and slap on the probability pivots, because we crossed the S1 pivot point here on the DXY. Okay, that looks mighty fine, honestly. Yeah, check that out. 29% of the time the low or the week on DXY comes in between S1 and S0.5 here. And then 17% of the time it comes down in this range right here, 11% of the time down here. So I wouldn't be surprised if we find a spot right here just before the tariffs get put on Canada and Mexico. We have some kind of opportunity and catch the bottom of the week going in here. So let's actually go ahead and let's use this to set an expectation. Why don't we? Wow, that's quite a large move. Let's go ahead and see if something on the 6-hour maybe shows up. Both on the 12-hour and the 6-hour, there's this bump in the distribution. I don't know if you guys can see that super clearly, but there's like this one lone bump right here. So I'm gonna block that out with a drawing, if I can find the drawing. I'm looking for the parallel channel drawing, just so I can highlight that section. There we go, parallel channel. So let's call it from here to here. And I'm actually gonna set up alerts. So at this top line, around here, I would start looking at buys. So let's go ahead and set a bullish expectation from here. We'll update that in just a sec. And this would be my tail risk line, where this thing will just fall through. And you see these very small probabilities here on the right-hand side. Yeah, this is tail risk. That's a falling knife. So very small probabilities, very small likelihood of actually making any sort of super high confident call. I'm just looking at this area here because even though these probabilities are quite small, the probabilities go down, they dip to a lull right here. They go to what, 1.82, 1.81, and then they increase 1.98, 1.98, 2.1, 2.2. And then they start decreasing again, 2.1, 2.9, 1.7, 1.3, 1.3, 1.0, 0.9, 0.7, 0.8, 0.7, 0.6, right? So there's a peak right around here. So maybe we get a few more move. We get about a bit more of a move down here. And, you know, maybe I'm completely right on this. Maybe I'm completely wrong. But based on the ranges for the week, and don't get me wrong, this is a 6-hour range. If you go to a 12-hour range, the same thing does show up. There is a difference when you load this indicator on different time frames, because this will load the entire chart's history and give you the returns distribution of the lows and the highs for a given week or a month or a day. But if you use a 12-hour chart, you're able to load more historical weekly data than you are on a 6-hour chart. But to see that whether or not we load a 6-hour chart or a 12-hour chart, we're getting the same shape of our distribution and the same general odds and the same expectations, it tells me that the odds are pretty good in the short term and the long term. They match up. I wouldn't necessarily call it stationary, but generally speaking, when guys who are somewhat familiar with stats here, that's like, so you tell me the short-term data and long-term data kind of match. So that's generally one way to call data stationary. But there's more tests that you can do than just that to set an expectation for something to be stationary. So not to get too heavy into the math stuff, thank you guys for, still indulging me. We'll continue with this trade plan here. Again, remember to leave likes and follows and all that, just so then you can stay up to date with the next streams that are coming up here. We're going to be doing US ISM services in the next stream. I really should actually just set up a stream tomorrow to cover any aftermath of the US Canada Mexico tariffs. Frankly, I don't have a stream planned for tomorrow at the moment, but I'm probably going to set one up now that I think about it. So make sure you are notified, and if you don't want to get terribly notified of like a bunch of YouTube notifications or anything, you can also get notifications here in Discord under events. These are all the live streams here. And so if you're in the Discord and you see an event happening, that means a live stream's going on. And that could be a Pine script mentorship, that could be an actual trading stream, it could be an impromptu stream, right? Sometimes things are happening right now, and we have to give commentary on it right now and ping our friends and say, hey, stuff's moving. So let's go ahead and timestamp this for today. And today is March 3rd, so it's 2025-03-03, and we'll timestamp it. And I'll copy that. Actually, I need to set that to red, paste, okay, and then set this to green. Actually, blue is what I'd be setting this to. I use blue for closing expectations. So let's do that, because this is probably the top for the week on the DXY. I would be genuinely surprised if we made a new higher high. So let's just do the trade plan for the rest of the week here. Yeah, like literally after the first 18 hours, we're doing a trade plan for the rest of the week. Again, if there's more piece, like, again, if I'm wrong about this thing with Trump, right? Tomorrow will be a big night. If I'm wrong about that, it being in reference to tariffs, and that has to do with, the United States creating a ceasefire with Zelensky and Putin, well, that would really drive this lower, right? At that point, we would be trading down here. We would absolutely be trading below 106 in that scenario, because now you have all the support for this coalition of the willing on Ukraine in the Euro area and the UK, plus the UK. UK's not in the Eurozone now, so you gotta say plus UK. But then you now throw the US's actual improvement and a peace deal, actual ceasefire peace deal, right, on top of that. And it's really going to make things go risk on, right? It's really going to make things go risk on. I don't even think that the Canadian tariffs would be able to override how weak the US dollar would get really in that scenario, because the amount of dollar selling in the euro would probably override a decent amount of any dollar upside for Canadian tariffs. So we have to watch out for what Trump is going to be announcing. We really, really do. So everyone keep an eye on that and make sure to be posting in the research threads when new information does come out on those things. Yeah. All right, let's keep this going. So we have this expectation here. I'm also going to do one more thing. I'm going to pull up the timing dots. Yeah, most of the time when we top out over here and we move down this far this early, that actually indicates a larger move kind of down to here. So I have less confidence in this, because let me go ahead and move these drawings to the side a little bit. Generally speaking, from the open, going down to these prices mean we do something like this, right? We go down, down, down to this point in time, to this cluster of dots, right? That's generally the cluster we're looking at. Most of the tops that come in here for a given week in this red box generally come down to around here. However, this is a move that's happening really, really quick. So when a move happens really, really quick, it means you need to set your sights on further risks. So this would be the scenario I'm actually genuinely more concerned about, because a rebound from down in this zone here would actually be quite novel. We've only had this one before. Like, you don't usually get rebounds that are this far down. Actually, we can turn on something here called show only future lows, and it will remove all these dots here. So these are the kind of remaining contenders of, hey, if you make a future low at some point in the future, where do you end up? And you can see all these dots way down here. So I'd be more concerned about like this cluster, frankly. And that's where this line came in. And like, hey, I'd be more concerned about this. If we don't get the very, very, don't get me wrong, there's not a whole lot of data here. We can try increasing the search range here a bit and see if we get any more dots in this spot here after it loads. But you can see there's, you increase the search range, it just added more dots over here, right, for that first scenario, and it added more dots in this area here. It actually put more data in here when the top comes around here. So I'm now looking at the data, I'm more concerned actually about going lower from here. Yeah, we'll have to see how the tariff news changes things, right? We have that extra bit of information, but I'm gonna be certainly on the more cautious side going forward, because that would be like, from the current price, it's about another it's 1,000 points. I don't know exactly how that converts. It's 100 points, right, from the current spot of 106.5 to, call it 105.5, right? What are the general the settings for the timing dots aren't automatic. It's the thing I'm most upset about with the indicator. right? All my other indicators, all the settings are automatic, but you really have to change it based on the price. The rule of thumb with setting this up is to make the height of this box, which comes from the percentage bounds setting, make the height of this box about the same height as one of the peaks in the probability, in the range probabilities indicator, right? So 1.5 is about the size of one of these boxes. And then bar bounds, that's going to change based on the time frame that you're using. So for this 6-hour chart, for a weekly range, for weekly data, yeah, 3 is enough. You can maybe increase it to 4. This is just a search to the left and the right of the current high to find similar highs, to plot similar dots from. And there'll be upgrades coming to this soon. I have a few ideas that I want to plug into this indicator. But yeah, I'd be on the more cautious side for sure. Because throughout history, I mean, there's a lot of samples here. This is not like, oh, we have 2 or 3 dots here. We have 2 or 3 samples. It's like, no, we have a lot of historical data here saying, yeah, when the top comes in here and price is down this much, you probably see a continuation of like another 100 points, at least on the DXY. That's why these indicators are so cool. And frankly, why you should get them if you haven't already. Again, this is a 10-day free trial, all that good stuff. Let's go ahead and keep the show going. So right now, this was my initial expectation, just looking at the ranges, right? And I was going to set probably a more neutral to bullish expectation here. But now looking at the timing dots, I would want to be a lot more careful. Like, don't get me wrong, in the next 24-ish hours, we could see a turnaround around the US tariffs getting implemented. It's now like the 3rd or the 4th time I've talked about it here on the stream, but that's just the emphasis. That's just the linchpin to my expectations for any kind of rotation or re-strengthening of the DXY, which was the entire reason why the DXY was getting stronger over here, right? Trump G. I mean, DXY's been getting pretty weak for most of February here. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see if the tariffs actually do anything when they're implemented. Otherwise, I would not mind being short the dollar for the rest of the week. And in that case, if that is the case, I would feel more confident about Bitcoin going to 100K by March 8th. Because that's what we said that's what we said last week. And we can look at timing dots for let's just hide that real quick. Hide that. Yeah, this is a more smooth distribution. Yeah, no peaks, sadly. Just a nice little slant. Yeah. Yeah, Zelensky, peace with Russia is very far, far away. I mean, it's closer now than it's ever been. Oh, check comments from Zelensky. Here, I'm gonna hop on Financial Juice. Did we get anything here? No. Oh, the previous was 50.9. The actual was 50.3, so it came down a bit. Okay. But that's still growth. That's still not that huge of a miss. So yeah, that's not that big of a deal. Let's see here. Oh, we can actually read the ISM manufacturing here. I haven't seen Zelensky's comments. Let me check the Russia-Ukraine research thread. No, I don't see anything in there. Oh, Trump and TSMC expected to announce $100 billion investment in the U.S. Says the Wall Street Journal. Let's see here. Yeah, huge deal. Oh, it was under the PMI report. Oh, there we go. Just scroll down a little bit more. All right. Ukraine's President Zelensky. An end of the war with Russia is very, very far away. Oh, so you were quoting Zelensky. A deal to end the war between Ukraine and Russia, quote, is still very, very far away. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said, adding that he expects to keep receiving American support despite his recent fraught relations with U.S. President Donald Trump. If the U.S. imposes tariffs on Canada, then Canada will retaliate. We just went over this in the last stream, how that's such a not smart thing for Canada to do. Canada's gonna get into a tariff pissing match with the United States. Oh no. And if that's the case, being, you know, I like the idea of being short the Canadian dollar. If that's the case, yeah. Yeah. Let's see here. What do people say about the 10 manufacturing listed in order? What respondents to the manufacturing PMI are saying? Let's see here. The tariff environment regarding products from Mexico and Canada has created uncertainty and volatility among our customers and increased our exposure to retaliatory measures from these countries. Chemical products. Customers are pausing on new orders as a result of uncertainty regarding tariffs. There's no clear direction from the administration on how they will be implemented, so it's harder to project how they will affect business in transportation. Tariff impact has been minimal to overall manufacturing and raw material supply. Limits on U.S. government spending in key organizations like the FDA, EPA, and NIH are delaying some orders. Oh, so Doge is preventing a bunch of orders from going out here. All right. Inflation and pricing pressure continue to drive uncertainty in our 2025 outlook. We're seeing volume impacts due to pricing and consumers buying less and looking for substitution options. Food, beverage, and tobacco. Tariffs again. The incoming tariffs are causing our products to increase in price. Sweeping price increases are incoming from suppliers. Most are noting increases in labor costs. Vendors are indicating open capacity. Inflation measures are a concern. Our company is working diligently to see how the new tariffs will affect our business machinery. Business is slow, but some indications of improved demand are 6 to 9 months out. So second half of the year for fabricated steel products. Uncertainty about tariffs keeps us cautious on spending despite the strong sales right now. Electrical equipment, appliances, and components. Man, oh man. Yeah. However, customers are still very hesitant to commit to long-term volumes due to the market uncertainty caused by proposed tariffs on steel, aluminum products, primary metals. Imports, yeah. So things are slowing, and they've been slowing for 2 months on the headline here. So we'll see if this continues to slow. It seems like, given the commentary here, that manufacturing will continue to slow. We'll have to see what's going on with the services PMI when that comes out, to see if the services PMI will once again save the economy and buttress the reduction that's going on in the manufacturing side of the world. Alrighty, Marvin, Berserker. Talk to you later, my man. Thank you for hanging out. I appreciate it. All right. So what I was saying on the dollar side is if the dollar continues to weaken, let's say into the 105s going forward, I absolutely would expect by essentially over the weekend. So from Friday on, a higher chance of going above 100K on Bitcoin. So let's go ahead and, I mean, I would draw an expectation like that, but my primary expectation actually is for the US dollar to continue to get stronger. That comment from Zelensky was a great find, Berserker. That comment from Zelensky was a great find. Because the main person involved that you want to get all this... Oh, I just opened my phone and got ding, 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 ding. Yeah. The main person that all of this military support is going to is someone who still thinks peace is far, far away in a galaxy, far, far away. So not an optimal setup. Not an optimal setup for someone you want to make sure has this. You know, you're giving all this support militarily to try and foster peace, and the guy who you're giving all the military support for saying, no, peace is actually far away, but thank you for the military support anyway. It seems really backwards. Seems really, really backwards. Let's hop back to the DXY chart and finish this expectation. We can do something along these lines. Timing dots, like so. And we'll timestamp this as well, with the original timestamp too, because that's when we did the analysis. So this would be a... let's check out the... We'll check out the clotheslines real quick. So a lot of these clotheslines, so what these clotheslines are is they look at the dots and they look at the respective close. And I'm kind of eyeballing it, but I'm looking at the clump right here. So somewhere around here. Yeah, not that massive of a pullback, right? Historically, given at least all the dots around here and around here, a lot of these dots do pull back around to here. So call it the high 106s. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see how things develop over the next 24 hours, and I'll set up another stream so that then we can watch the mayhem unfold, if there's even any mayhem. I thought we were going to have the US dollar gap up this week, but I guess a lot of the commentary around peace with Ukraine and Russia kind of overran that. You know, maybe I'm missing some information. I feel like maybe I could be missing some information, but if I'm not, I don't see why I should be changing my mind at the moment. But I am going to be proactively looking for some research here. So yeah, isn't this nice? And now, whenever you guys watch these streams in the future, you don't have to necessarily watch this stream to know what exactly I was thinking at what point in time, right? That's the whole point of having these arrows and whatnot. Because now, it's like, oh, this is what he was thinking on this time at this date, right? That's why having, I think, arrows and drawings that are time-stamped expectations help. You know, no matter how you're doing your analysis, if you're doing it discretionarily like so, I think this is a nice way of displaying over time what you think. Alright, guys. So I'll go ahead and say thank you very much for watching. I'll go ahead and stop the streams now. I'm gonna hang out in a couple other streams. I'm going to get some more research done, maybe a little programming done later today. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Remember, if you want these indicators, go to WAMP. and check them out. Alrighty, you guys. I'll see you all